All right. Hey, it's Jay Teagues here, your certified high performance coach. And I just want to come on here real quick and just talk about every week, every Wednesday at 7 Central, we have a team called the Forge Mastermind. And tonight's topic, we just started a series called Are You Prepared? Are You Prepared? There's no doubt if you're watching the news, there's a lot of uncertainty. And if you've been on this planet long enough, you know that there's unforeseen things that can happen to you. And so the whole series is designed to discuss and enable all of us to be more prepared. We have about 25 members in the Forge, and this is the series that we're going to be talking about over the next 6 weeks. And we have people in the Forge that have a variety of backgrounds, from disaster preparedness personnel who used to train people to be prepared, people that were funeral directors, people that worked in law enforcement, people that actually are actively working in a nonprofit for that specifically deal with disaster preparedness. And the whole concept of the series is to enable us all to be more prepared if something were to happen. And so that's what we talk about. All the calls are recorded. And I just want to extend an invite to you to come sit in and join one of our calls. And before I hang up tonight, I just want to give you 5 ideas to help you be a little bit more prepared. Whether it be, there's a lot of things happening in the world stemming from, what's happening in Europe. But there's also the possibility of natural disaster, or there's no doubt as you scroll through your social media, someone is dealing with crisis or death or disease. Something can always happen. So first idea is accepting responsibility that you are responsible if something were to happen. That if something were to happen, yes, there's law enforcement and there are systems in place, but these systems can get strained rather quickly. And accepting responsibility that yes, it could happen to you and that you're the leader of your household, that you need to be prepared. Your kids are relying on you. Your family's relying on you. Some people, I ask them, hey, are you prepared? And they're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm good with God. And I think I have hope that things will work out. But I'm here to tell you, when disaster actually happens, when you're in a natural disaster or you're in a war zone or something happens, you're infinitely in a far better position when you have a little bit of preparedness versus thinking that hope and getting right with Jesus is your only method of dealing with it. And I truly believe that Jesus wouldn't want you to be a victim. Okay. So you have to have some level of accountability and accept the fact that you're responsible for your household, for your family, right? So accepting responsibility. Second idea, acknowledge that disaster and adversity will happen. We live in the most abundant time in human history and one of the greatest countries ever known, right? But you know that there's no doubt that disaster and crisis is around you. We're in the middle of a pandemic. There are always things that are happening. But some people, they get so caught up in their day-to-day routine that they forget that, oh, that could happen to me. So part of being an adult and being aware is that acknowledging that disaster could happen to you. And are you aware of that? We rise to the level of our training and we fall to the level of our preparedness. So what have you done to train yourself, and how are you prepared to deal with things? Because when shit hits the fan, that's all you're going to have is your training and your level of preparedness. We rise to our training, we fall to our level of preparedness. And so acknowledging that, hey, life is nothing more than a series of crises. Death happens. People are incapacitated. There's disease. There's natural disaster. There's war. All of these things are going to happen. And we need to be prepared. Third big idea, rely on experts. Don't let ego get in the way of you thinking that you know everything. Who are the experts around you? And rely on their expertise. Where are your knowledge gaps? And how can you shore those up? And what experts can you rely on? Because you don't know it all. We often overestimate our abilities and we underestimate what could actually happen. And we do have knowledge gaps. And so who can you rely on when stuff happens? Who are those people that you can call at 3:00 in the morning? They'll drop everything to be there for you. And then who could you rely on to shore up those knowledge gaps that you have? The fourth big idea, have a plan. If something were to happen, could you shelter in place for 72 hours? Do you have enough provisions to do that? We just had our call tonight. My electricity went out. I couldn't even find a candle, right? So that's probably an indicator that we probably need to shore something up. If you had to evacuate, what would that look like? If If your children were involved in a school shooting, if heaven forbid that happened, how would you communicate with them? I remember when 9/11 happened and everyone's trying to figure out, hey, where are their loved ones at? Can I find them? If something were to happen, do you have a communication plan? Do you have an evacuation plan? Do you have a shelter in place plan? What does that look like? If there's a house fire, have you talked to your kids about that? Have you, like, where do you rally at in the house? Do you have a plan? And then the fifth idea is to constantly build resilience. Be prepared. Work on your physical well-being, uh, functional fitness. Can you break down a door and get out of your house if you need to? Could you pull your spouse from a car if you got in a car accident? Could you help someone else? Could you I don't know, carry something if you needed to? All of these things are incredibly important. And then, do you have the mindset? Are you working and developing your own resilience to deal and handle with stress? And that's one of the big reasons that I like to put myself, and a lot of endurance athletes put themselves through that type of stress, is because it helps you build that resilience. And when shit hits the fan, you are better adapt mentally and physically to deal with these things, that you can take stress. And that's a part of just being prepared. And ultimately, I know there's a lot of craziness that's going on in the world, and it's not the most uplifting of topics, but it is something. I truly believe that we're in for a bumpy ride. I don't know what the future unholds for us, but I do know this, that crises and disaster and things will enter all of our lives at some point in time, and that you need to be prepared. And if you want to join our conversation about preparedness, we have our call every Wednesday night. All the calls are recorded. I would like to extend an invite for you to sit in as a guest. The mastermind group is a paid group, but you can come in and sit on the call for free to see if it's for you. Get connected. We got a series of speakers and guests lined up to talk about this topic, and that's the topic that we're talking about now for the next 4 to 6 weeks. It's going to be: Are you prepared? Are you prepared? And if you that's the power of the mastermind, is if you connect with other like-minded people, and we all have commitments. Like the challenge this week, you got a list of things that we're going to do, right? All this 1% better. I always ask at the end, what's 1%, what's that 1% thing that you can do this week to be a little bit better? When I went to the store the other day, I got to grab an extra bag of rice, grab some extra cans, loading up on a little extra water. 1% better. The book of the month is I'm Dead, Now What? I know it's so uplifting, but it's a workbook. It's a workbook. Like, if something were to happen, does your family know what your wishes are? If you're incapacitated, can they access all of your accounts? Do they know where all your Bitcoin is? Do they know where all of your money, your finances are? Or are you going to leave that burden when something happens to you? You're going to leave them, because I've had that happen to me where someone died and they didn't want to have the tough conversation, and everyone freaked the hell out, and making decisions and trying to figure out, grandma's will and what she wanted and all these things. Does she want to be cremated? Does she want to be buried? Who gets this? Who gets that? You want to leave your family making all these emotional decisions when they're going through this emotional state? No, you don't want that. That's why you got to have that tough conversation now. So all these things are designed to help you out, and that's the conversations that we're having. So if you're interested in learning more, DM me. Those are 5 big ideas to help you be prepared. Accept responsibility, acknowledge that shit will happen, rely on experts. Who's your community of people that you can count on? Have a plan, talk about the plan with your kids, and build resilience and take care of yourself. Be prepared. Don't be a victim. Do hard things. See you soon.